How desperate is the United States to overthrow the Cuban government? So desperate that they refuse to drop their brutal blockade against Cuba even after its natural disaster. Last Friday, Cuba's oil storage facility Matanzas was hit by lightning, setting several tanks of fuel inside on fire. Firefighters rushed into the facility and 17 are now missing. Over 100 people were injured, including one person who was killed. As soon as Cuba requested international help, condolences and material aid started pouring in. Venezuela dispatched specialists to help put out the fire. Mexico actually dispatched a team of firefighters even before the request was made. Cuba's President Miguel Diaz-Canel, who has been in Matanzas since the explosion, thanked the countries supporting Cuba, saying, "We express deep gratitude to the governments of Mexico, Venezuela, Russia, Nicaragua, Argentina, and Chile, which have promptly offered material aid and solidarity in the face of this complex situation. We also appreciate the offer of technical advice from the United States." Yes, the United States offered what amounts to thoughts and prayers to Cuba, and then tried to give them advice on how to put out the fires. Of course, no amount of advice is going to put out these fires. You need aid, but the United States isn't providing aid. In fact, it's actually continuing to enforce a blockade of Cuba that makes it difficult for US nationals to send aid. The blockade, a 60-year-old policy relic from the Cold War, makes it illegal for any person, business, or institution that does business with Cuba to also do business with the United States. Let's say a cargo ship docks in Cuba and sells goods there. Under the rules of the blockade, from there on out, this ship would be barred from docking anywhere in the United States. Given the choice between trading with the US and trading with Cuba, most companies are going to choose the US given that it's the world's largest economy, effectively banning the world from trading with Cuba. Now, the US State Department acknowledged this and actually addressed this in their statement regarding Matanzas. They said, quote, "The US embargo authorizes US persons to provide disaster relief and response in Cuba." But this is misleading. To send aid to Cuba, you need to apply for a license through OFAC, which takes several months to get approved, by which time these fires will have been dealt with. If you try to send money to Cuba, those payments will get blocked by the banks because the Trump State Department designated Cuba a state sponsor of terrorism, a designation which Biden hasn't removed. We actually tested this out at our office by trying to send a Venmo payment with Cuba in the description, and lo and behold, the payment got blocked. The fact that Joe Biden hasn't rolled back these policies, which were enacted explicitly to economically devastate Cuba, just goes to show how their condolences are completely hollow. Because it's not like the US doesn't offer aid to foreign countries. Just 3 days after the Matanzas fire, the US sent $1 billion of aid to Ukraine. The US sends almost $4 billion of aid to apartheid Israel every year. The reason Cuba isn't getting this kind of red carpet treatment is because underneath the US's condolences lie the exact same policy the US adopted towards Cuba over 60 years ago. Sabotage Cuba's economy, push Cubans to the brink of survival, and ultimately foment a counter-revolution against the Cuban government. The US isn't fooling anyone with this blatant double standard, so maybe it's time for them to actually live up to their condolences and lift that 60-year-old boot off Cuba's neck.